Welcome back to Golf Weekly. Stephen Thompson is with me, and we are talking Short Game 101.
Very good. Well, thanks for having me in, and I think it's a great little segment to talk about just following the aerification, because really you want to have a good sound short game anyways, and this will give you a chance to play on some different surfaces and see what our short game can do for us. So a few things that I see when teaching with the Island Golf School. I teach over at Shipyard. And what I see is a lot of people come walking right by the putting green on the right and the chipping area on the left. And they go right to the full swing and they go right to the driver, put it on a tee, and make great big huge swings.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we have is, we have a lot of people that just practicing the area of the game that isn't going to help them. Meaning off a tee, we're really only going to use driver 14 times around. So when we want to shoot lower scores, that's what everybody wants to do. Well, for me to hit the driver great 14 times, there's a lot more shots in the game that we have to focus on. So instead of walking by the putting green on your right and the chipping green on your left, let's start at the putting green and let's go to the chipping green and let's spend a good amount of our time there. Really want to spend kind of 1/3 of your time on the putting green, 1/3 of your time on the chipping area, and then 1/3 of your time hitting some irons and some full swings.
That's a good rule of thumb.
Yeah.
And really shave some strokes off your game.
Absolutely, because typically the average golfer has about 2 to 3 penalty strokes around, so that's going to be related to your ball striking. And typically they have 3 to 4 shots from inside 70 yards that they don't get it on the green, so all of a sudden we're up to 7 or 8 shots very quickly. Mm-hmm. And then on the putting, we typically have 2 to 3, even 4 3-putts around.
Right.
So really, right there, that's 12 shots, 10, 12 shots easily. So to fix 2 or 3, we might as well fix the majority that are all in the same area, and that would be the putting and the chipping and the short game. So a few things that I see just when I'm out on the range or out in the short game area when people are walking by me, and even when they do come over to the short game area, they usually bring one club. And they just try to hit the same shot over and over and just keep going around with the same club. Well, the short game area, golf's great. It gives us 14 clubs to do all the job for us. I'm all about not having to try any harder than I already have to. So they give us 14 clubs to do all the job around the greens. Okay, so what I want to suggest is everybody, when they go to the short game area, take 3 or 4 clubs. Try those clubs from every area. So meaning, don't be afraid to grab your putter. Even if you're 20, 30 yards off the green, try to putt one. See what happens. Right. There's no right or wrong in short game. It's all about experimentation and self-discovery. I recommend when I go to a short game area, all surfaces are different. Sometimes you're going to need a little bit more loft, sometimes you're not. Sometimes the grass is going to be a little bit too thin and bare. Well, you wouldn't want to have as much loft. So I recommend take like a putter, a 7 or 8 iron, a pitching wedge, your most lofted wedge, and maybe your sand wedge as well. And experiment. See what the clubs do. Don't just hit the same club over and over, because that club doesn't work on every single shot.
For all applications, right?
Yes.
That makes sense.
So very good. So I have a little rule of thumb that I like to use with my students. I run them through a little short game test where I put 5 golf balls down about 3 to 4 paces off the green, and I say, okay, hit 1 with your putter, 1 with a 7, 1 with a pitching wedge, 1 with a sand wedge, and 1 with a lob wedge. And what you see is short game, to improve it, it's based on picking the correct shot. So if I'm just off the edge of the green and I have my lob wedge open, well, my room for error is a lot greater. That's the shot where we want to keep it on the ground as long as possible.
Right.
Okay. And then we go back about another 10 to 12 paces. So now we're a little further off the green. Well, we'll notice on the first shot, the putter and the 7 iron worked pretty well. Well, when we go back a little further, the putter and the 7 don't work as well anymore. It'd be more of your pitching wedge and sand wedge. And then we go back a little further, and we'll notice we need to have a little bit more loft because we have to have a little more air time.
Okay.
So that's just a great way to practice. Practice a little bit more with a purpose rather than just one club and hitting meaningless shots, which almost every golfer does that.
Right.
And you'll notice that as you increase the skill level with all your clubs and all your different shots, sure enough that you can start getting the ball on the green and near the pin and start getting a few more of those shots up and down. All of a sudden your 92 is now an 85 very quickly.
It takes practice.
Absolutely. So there's a couple things that we look for in our short game. And Debbie has a pitching wedge here, and I'm just going to observe where she is on her short game right now. So this is the shot that we're about 6 to 8 paces off the green. And there's a few things that I see when she swings. Okay, I have my little board that I like to use with my students. And what I'm seeing is her weight is too far to her right side. And what's happening is the club isn't going up enough. So what happens is the club is actually scooping the ball. Okay, when it scoops the golf ball, this is where the risk is very great. Okay, when it scoops the ball, the club is coming up, which is exposing the leading edge of the club. Okay, what we want to do is we want to understand how to get set up to help that, because we don't want to hit those thin shots, or everybody's had them where they hit the thin one and then they chunk the next one. Well, that's related to the same type of shot. So what we're going to do is I'm going to get you a little bit closer. So we're going to feel that golf ball's right here, and then we're going to
just choke.
Yeah, choke down just a little bit, and then we're going to move our body a little bit more over here to the left.
I always thought that the weight needed to be on the back leg for the shorter shots.
Yeah, and we know in golf it works in opposite. So what happens in golf is when you swing down, the ball will go up. When you swing up, the ball will go down. Okay, so we would play the ball a little bit more.
You see even the angle of the club changes as soon as I shift my weight.
Absolutely, and we'll notice here when this club goes up now, it's not going to hit the board. It's going to go up the board and down the board. Okay, we're never trying to lift the ball into the air. Okay,
look at that.
And what that's going to help us with is just solid contact, and solid contact is the most effective way to hit good short game shots. Cool. So really we have to understand, do we need more air time or ground time? Okay, so really we're going to change that based on our club. Okay, so with the pitching wedge, this is going to give us about equal amount of time in the air as it would on the ground. Okay, where our 7-iron, if we just take that one's going to spend more time on the ground than in the air. So a good rule of thumb is about 30% air, 70% ground. Okay, and it would be the same shot with that. The ball will play more back in your stance. So we would play,
I need
right
to
there, tomorrow off your right toe,
okay.
And then we would lean our weight to the left, and we notice now that club can go up and down that board. All right, very good. And then with our little bit more loft, what we would do to hit a little higher is we would just get a little bit further from the ball, and we would get our stance just a little bit wider.
So even with that right
Yeah, we would want it to be just a little inside the right
okay.
toe. Yep, and then it would go up the board and down the board. And that way we're using the loft of the golf club now. Okay, because we know golf works in opposites. Up goes down and down goes up. Okay.
Cool.
So those are a few areas of the game that we can really work on. Like I said, take a few clubs to the short game area and practice all those different shots.
There's a reason why that little area is there.
Absolutely.
So that we use it. We don't just go to the driving range. I think we all want to hit those long, beautiful shots, but this is really where finesse comes in, and again, practice is key.
Yeah, absolutely, and especially when the greens are maybe airified right now, go and spend a little more time practicing.
That's great.
You know, get your game ready for when the courses get back into perfect condition again.
And then you're not so intimidated by those airified greens either.
Yeah.
Stephen, as always, thank you very much. And thank you all for tuning in to this edition of Golf Weekly. We'll see you next time.